Hello, I'm Simon. Welcome to my workshop. In this video I'm going to take you through the thought processes I went through in deciding to purchase the Axminster AC82E dust extractor. Let's get tinkering. The UK Government Health and Safety Executive have a very good sight on woodworking in general and wood dust in particular. One thing I hadn't realised is that even using a broom in your workshop is a really bad idea. Here is an excerpt from a UK Government safety video showing how dust levels quickly exceed safe levels when sweeping up sawdust. This site explains the problems and solutions, and if you weren't completely convinced that wood dust is a problem, they also link to a short note on a 67-year-old carpenter dying of nose cancer, which the coroner defined as an industrial accident. Often a crown guard is quoted as being necessary to prevent accidents, keeping your fingers away from the blade, but often overlooked is the control of dust they also provide. In this UK government video they show a table saw being used without any dust extraction. They are sampling dust levels close to the operator's nose, and unsafe levels of dust are being produced. But when dust extraction is added to the saw and the crown guard, dust falls to safe levels. Knowing I need an extractor is one thing, but understanding what size particles I need to remove is not that straightforward. Thankfully, the US National Institute for Health published an article in the Journal of Occupational Health about the sizes of dust particles that are produced when sanding, and as woodworkers we know that sanding produces the finest particles. So if our dust collection can remove most of these, then I'll have done a lot to remove the hazard and can concentrate on keeping my fingers. I'll leave a link to Ojima's article, but in essence, sanding softwood, cypress in this case, produces finer dust than hardwood. Fine sandpaper produces finer dust than coarser grits. All intuitive and well understood by us tinkerers so far. However, the key piece of information is dust particle size as a percentage of the dust produced. Here we concentrate on 240 grit paper. We can read off the percentage of sawdust filtered by various dust extractors that I'm considering. These dust extractor filters fall into three levels. 10 micron filters, which block 85% of the dust. 1 micron filters, that I've inferred by extrapolation should filter 99.7% of the dust, and 0.5 micron filters. The study doesn't go lower than 1 micron, but given the trend on the graph, if it continues, then at 0.5 microns almost all the dust will be removed by the filter. Another article on the National Institute of Health website advises us that particles larger than 5 microns are deposited almost completely in the nose, whereas particles between 0.5 and 5 microns are deposited in the lower airways. So ideally we want to filter these out as much as possible at source with the dust extractor. One last nugget of information from this paper is that dust concentrations tend to be reported by mass, and this can be a little confusing as larger particles weigh many times more than that of finer particles. So they also did a particle counts and found that between 61 and 65% of the particles by count measured between 1 and 5 microns in diameter. Okay, so let's summarise where we are. Dust collectors that filter down to 10 microns will get rid of the bulk of your sawdust, 85%, but they won't get rid of any of the harmful dust. In fact, they'll just blow it into the air, making it possibly even more harmful. If you've got one of those, it needs to be located outside, ideally somewhere away from everyone else so that the wind can blow it away. Particles larger than 5 microns will get stuck in your nose, and we've seen that there have been cases of nose cancer from those. Particles smaller than 5 microns but larger than half a micron get stuck in your lungs and can cause respiratory disease. So ideally we want a filter that can filter all of the dust from the machine directly into the bag and not let anything smaller than half a micron out into the atmosphere. I think what this really says to us is filter as good as you can to the smallest level that you can, which is probably what we would do if we hadn't looked at any of this research anyway. So I now have all the information I need to create a spreadsheet of possible models. This will make it easy to sort and filter the options, and because there are lots of different units used, I can calculate them and thus compare specifications from different manufacturers that are using different units. Dust extractors come in two types: high pressure low volume and low pressure high volume. I couldn't find much detail on the pressures of all the extractors, and my table saw only provided specification for the minimum volume of air that needs to be moved, so I focused on this metric. There are 4 commonly used units for the volume of air moved by dust extractors. We have litres per minute, cubic metres per hour, cubic feet per minute, and litres per second. Another important specification we have already discussed is particle size. As a general rule, high pressure, low volume shop vacs tend to filter to half a micron, whereas chip extractors using a bag will filter down to 10 microns, and with a filter cartridge down to 1 micron. I work in an urban environment with neighbours close to my workshop, so another metric I wanted to understand was how loud each would be. This is not something that will be a deal breaker, but if the two are close, then I'll choose the quieter one. And finally, perhaps obviously, I'm on a budget. I really can't justify going above £500, so my list was limited mostly to units under this figure. Okay, so we need to start with my saw and the specifications for it. And if we look down here, then we can see that the minimum extraction airflow required is 850 cubic meters per hour. That immediately excludes all of the high pressure, low volume units. So I can go to cubic meters per hour and I can put in a number filter. If I put in here 849, this is what I'm left with. I'm no longer interested in these 10 micron units, so I'm going to get rid of those as well. This leaves me with 1 micron, which doesn't quite meet my 0.5 micron ideal, but it's pretty close, and the 1 micron filters will remove some of the smaller particles, I'm sure. What I also did is I was able to create a calculation that basically said how many cubic feet per minute am I getting per pound, and this then gives me an idea of the best value for money. I didn't want to go above £500, so I can remove these two because they're more than £500, and this leaves me with these 3 options, of which the one that offers the best value for money and has the highest volume in terms of air movement is the Axminster Craft AC82E plus their filter cartridge, and this is why I chose this unit. It is also at the low end in terms of noise, and obviously it's the most powerful because it's moving the most air, and that's basically why I chose the AC82E plus the 1 micron filter cartridge as my dust collection solution. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you've got any tips on how you choose big pieces of machinery, then please leave them in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, then please subscribe. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, why not subscribe by clicking my logo? It's free, and YouTube will add some of my videos to your feed. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.